was an awful time. We as carers and care home workers could see people suffering, and obviously we could not control the viral infection, particularly where people wandered around care homes with dementia when they'd been discharged from hospital to us. And one particular unit was completely cleared out because of one gentleman who was transferred from hospital, and he visited all the other residents on his unit to say hello and engage with them, and every single resident died, sadly.
Do you think, those lives could have easily been saved?
Definitely. There was no reason for that to occur. If tests had been done and only negative patients transferred to us, we could have kept the COVID out of the homes. Most examples that I have as a direct result of hospital transfers to us. One authority, it was well into late April, May, before testing was routine, and we were subjected to an enormous amount of pressure from the powers that be to accept people from hospital regardless of testing. I had an MP write to me in one area suggesting that I take back a resident of ours from hospital, having been promised a test, and I did agree to accept him once the test was completed. A week later they suggested they were sending him back to us, and I said, "Oh, we got the test results please," and they'd not even done the test, they were just lying to us. For whatever reason, obviously limited supply and the time it took, we then asked for the test again, and that delayed the transfer another week. I was then abused by the relative, and MP was bullying me into accepting this man, and we didn't actually take him back in the end because they refused to do a test.
What do you think to the government saying that they put a shield around care homes?
Delusions. A delusional idea, or ill-informed, or certainly poorly advised. That was not the case. It was the complete opposite, and a contradiction as to what was happening on the ground level. There was the hospital discharge policy, which was not protecting the care homes in any way, and obviously someone discharged without a test is it's like lighting the touch paper in a care home. A community like this, it's very difficult to isolate people in their own rooms. It's difficult to isolate people even on units. But so there was a hospital discharge policy that wasn't helpful for us, very much so. There was also the lack of PPE, and some of our PPE was obviously going elsewhere, which I assume is the NHS from what the suppliers told me. So we weren't actually receiving enough PPE to protect our staff. And as a sort of third point, I suppose, there was then, in some areas only, we got blanket DNAR forms, which is a do not actively resuscitate form. Some included treatment restrictions, which means that the elderly in care homes would not be offered any clinical intervention should they become seriously ill or even require hospitalisation. And there was evidence at the time, particularly in one home, I think Liverpool springs to mind, where a lady was begging to go to a hospital for treatment, and she was denied treatment and died within the 24 hours, with family looking in a window, crying at the loss of a younger woman, really. She was in her 60s.
At one point you had half of actually your normal supply of PPE.
That's right. It was madness. It was beg, steal or borrow. We helped each other between the care homes that I operate. We actually bought marigolds from the supermarket on one particular weekend with the idea we could run out and we were being restricted from our own suppliers. We made our own masks. I had a lady in this particular area making masks for us because we couldn't get the normal clinical masks.